You are listening to The Art of Sales. Everyone sells every day, and this is your source for conversational, real-world sales and prospecting methods that you are comfortable using and that get results. You'll help people buy instead of pushing them into being sold. Here's your host, Art Subject.
If you've been in sales for a while, you know what I'm about to talk about. You've experienced it. If you're new to sales, well, you probably will experience it. And that's when you get in one of those funks where nothing seems to be falling your way. Deals collapse. Buyers are not returning calls or emails. And maybe we're struggling to put up results. And our confidence might take a hit. Maybe even we question why we're doing what we're doing. Self-doubt creeps in. Maybe even to the point of not going after big accounts or even avoiding calls altogether. Well, the good news is that you can totally deal with this and turn it around. There was a Wall Street Journal article, actually it was a few years ago, that discussed how this happened exactly the way I described it to Dan DeCio, a high-tech computer account executive. And he was expecting to have a big year, but his results just weren't there. So he began grinding, working longer hours, nights, weekends, but it wasn't working. So he was grasping. He was searching for a solution. What in the world could he do to get out of this slump? Well, Dan's a big baseball fan, and he recalled how John Smoltz, a pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, way back in 1991, worked with a sports psychologist to pull himself out of a slump. So Dan did the same thing with tremendous results. More on that here in a second. First, Smoltz's story. So Smoltz today, if you watch baseball, you'll see him on, I believe he's on Fox broadcast. As a matter of fact, he just played, a pretty good golfer, just played in a PGA senior event. So at the time, he was one of the top pitchers in the game. However, he started that season with a horrible record of 2 wins and 11 losses. That's awful. And he said that he lost his confidence. Now, as many people do in sales and sports, he tried working harder to get out of the slump. Now, instead, what happened is that he made it worse, rushing himself on the mound, overanalyzing every bad pitch. So the psychologist worked with him to recover quickly from bad pitches instead of dwelling on them. And the psychologist made a video of the perfect pitches that Smoltz had thrown, and he had them watch the video over and over. And then if Smoltz threw a bad pitch in a game, he'd say, I literally would not step back on the mound until I pulled up that positive movie in my mind. And that reminded him of what it felt like to throw well. And then it instilled confidence, and that resulted in more positive performance. Now, Dan, the sales rep, his psychologist suggested the same thing. Stop overworking. Relax. Recall past positive performances. So what happened? Well, his sales that year were double the previous years. Now, you can use the same techniques, and you likely won't need to go see a sports psychologist if you get in one of these ruts. The same principles to show similar success. Tim Stoll was a 25-year commercial real estate broker, began losing his self-confidence during a recession year because of all the no's that he was getting. So he implemented a technique that golfer Jack Nicklaus used to get rid of anxiety. So what he began doing is visualizing himself performing well. And if he performed poorly during a presentation, instead of dwelling on it, he laughed it off and refocused on his goal of helping clients save money. So focusing on the positive helped him land more clients. All right, so here's some other techniques that sports psychologists use with athletes and also with business clients. And you can use these too. So first, maintain an archive of recordings of good phone calls or parts of calls. And I recommend this to clients all the time. Listen to them on a regular basis, especially when that doubt creeps in. Next, list your strengths on a card and post it in front of you. For example, you could write things down like, I'm great at building rapport. I'm excellent at product knowledge. I have a pleasing phone voice. I'm a great negotiator. Many baseball players do this with laminated cards, and they review them in between innings. Next, use relaxation techniques. You'll often see a golfer or a football kicker take a deep breath before a shot or a field goal attempt. Next, after a blown call, immediately focus on past success or something good that you could take out of the call. Don't dwell on the negative. Former football quarterback and now announcer Troy Aikman said that quarterbacks need to have poor memories because they can't let a dropped pass or a missed block affect their performance on the next play. So move on. I personally teach the use of the secondary objective on the call, which is defined as what can I attempt at minimum on every call. So this ensures that we get a win of a sort on every single call. Next, simplify things. In today's constantly connected, crazy, busy, multitasking ADD environment, most people are busier than ever, but accomplishing less. So when you're calling, do nothing but that for blocks of time. Focus, relax, let it flow. So between athletes and sales professionals executing our performances confidently and consistently. And it's human nature that with the inevitable undesired outcomes, which we will get over and over because it's part of the game, it's inevitable that sometimes our self-esteem can be a little bit vulnerable. We can get a little bit rattled. So therefore, it's essential that we're proactive to fight those negative feelings and prevent them from growing. So use these techniques and you're going to see your attitude and your sales results at the high levels that you deserve. Okay, so, you know what time it is.
Your attitude will be iron every way. You'll never fear what they say. It's the art of the sales. Quote of the day.
That's right. Time for the quote of the day. And today's quote is from a guy named Georges St. Pierre. I'm not quite sure. And you might think that the guy is a hockey player for the Montreal Canadiens. And actually, he is Canadian, at least the one I found. And the one I found had an S at the end of George's. Anyway, you probably want to know the quote. Actually, he's a UFC fighter. But the quote is awesome. Here it is. The key to effective visualization is to create the most detailed, clear, and vivid picture to focus on as possible. The more vivid the visualization, the more likely and quickly you are to begin attracting the things that help you achieve what you want to get done. Wow. Good stuff. That was a long quote. Go back and listen to that again and visualize it as you go through it. Okay, so if you're getting and visualizing great results from this podcast, why don't you do a friend or a couple of friends a favor? Send them to our show site, which is theartofsales.com, theartofsales.com. And if you don't yet have my free ebook of 501 telephone sales tips, you can get that at my blog, smartcalling.com, smartcalling.com. Thank you so much for investing your busy day with me, some of your time in your busy day with me. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, go out and make it your best sales day ever. I'm Art Subcheck.